What's up everyone and welcome back to the channel. So today is of course my very first Christmas unboxing of the 2025 season because of course today I stopped by Home Depot, which honestly this year they got some really good animatronics, definitely their best lineup yet for Christmas, I will say. And today I got my favorite one of the season. Today here, as you can see, I got the Grinch, which this is such cool. This is of course the new Gemmy version. Lots of the old Gemmy ones we've seen in the past is always that like stuffed animal quality, like dancing Grinch, which I think is cool. Like the dance animation is nice, but I think the detail on it isn't quite there. But with this new version from Gemmy, I think there's like a whole lot more detail in it. I really love it. It's of course a latex head, I think, or actually PVC head, so good quality on there, and it's got the molded plastic piece and everything. And overall it's a really cool looking one. Unfortunately it doesn't have that dancing animation, but it still has some arm, and I think it has head and then also the mouth animation, so lots of cool things going on. So anyway, such a cool one, and today we're gonna be unboxing this and checking out everything about it. So with that said, let's of course get started. Alright, so getting started, I just want to take a quick look at the box, and of course we'll get right into the unboxing of this. So of course, turning you over here, you of course can see this what the box looks like. Pretty much it's a simple box, it's a cardboard one, but just has a picture in the front. Obviously from the photos you can see this is Gemmy. It has that Gemmy background they use for a lot of their products. Of course, you can see right here is what he looks like. Such a cool version. I really love just, how he's in the sand outfit and everything. It looks great. And then the detail on it is really cool. The head looks amazing. I think it's definitely better than those stuffed animal heads they used to do. And then, of course, I like the sculpted details for the hands and then the legs right there. Unfortunately, it's not fluffy like the old Grinch. I did like that detail about it, but the molded plastic pieces still looks awesome because you can see this is officially branded as the Grinch. Of course, animated scenes are mean one with Mr. Grinch, which I think that's the only downside of this. I wish it had some other voice lines from either the cartoon or even some of the movies, but so it's a great one. Of course, this one right here is coming at a price of $230, you can see right there. And an interesting note about this is that this is a Canada exclusive animatronic, which is interesting because, of course, this was supposed to be sold in the US too, but was canceled along with that app Santa type thing that they were doing. Which does suck, but at least we're getting it here in Canada. Such cool, and so happy to have it. But anyways, getting into it, let me point you up a bit. So of course we can unbox this awesome animatronic right here. Haven't seen any unboxings on it yet, so I'm really curious to see what exactly this thing comes with. Of course, first thing I've seen here is a couple of hip loop pieces. Of course, we got two right there. One's a smaller one, one's a bigger one. Putting those aside, I'm curious to see where the Grinch head here is. Hopefully it's not deformed or anything. All the ones I've seen in stores so far, the heads look pretty good on them, so I'm hoping this one's good too. The other person can see one of the head, even though it doesn't have fur on it, that sculpted detail still gives it that appearance of fur, which I do like. So of course we got one arm, then of course we've also got another with awesome sculpted detail. Then next up here we got two of the legs, which are also this molded plastic. Yeah, look at that. That is so cool. Of course, the top right there, I think that's where he's got like the boots right there. Next up, we've got another leg, pretty much the exact same thing it looks like. Just another one. And then next up here, ooh, I think I see the head. Looking at it, it looks like it is a good looking head, which is awesome. Here, let's take this out, which this is interesting. They even put this whole thing on top, even though it's covered by that hat, which is nice. And well, look at that. Not deformed at all, I don't think. Man, that is really cool. Of course, paint job's good on it. I've seen a few photos, like Blow Up the Yard sent me, where paint job wasn't as good, but this one right here looks like it is all good. I don't see any issues with it, so that is awesome right there. Of course, that's a mouth animation there. Of course, down here you can see it's got like a little like fork connector. But man, that head is amazing. Look at that. Definitely better than these stuffed animal heads, I will say. Next up here, we got what looks to be his Santa suit. So let's see how this looks. Of course, there's a wire right here, which I believe is for the sensor. There we go. You can see it looks, pretty nice quality on this. Of course, it's nice and like soft and everything, and it's just a Santa outfit. Looks great. And I'm realizing this just fell out of it too. We have the Santa hat, which pretty basic Santa hat, but does seem nice. And man, there's a lot of pieces in here, which is crazy. But next up, we have this piece. This is like his bottom kind of. You can see right there. It's also got the nice like furry sculpted detail, which looks great. Of course, next up here, we got his feet, which are interesting. It's like one shoe piece right there, but looks great. And then next up in here, we of course have this piece right here, which looks to be the control piece. Of course, there you can see we have the control box, Look at this. Yeah, they can see that Gemmy logo. Then you can either have it on, off, or sensor, which on I think means that it'll be sensor plus sound activation. Of course, we have the volume knob right there. Looks like it uses a 5.9 volt adapter. Spot for a triangle button, and another little hole right there, which looks like there's supposed to be something there, but I'm not sure what that is. And then right here, we got what looks to be the adapter, which yes, it is. Interesting too, some of the Canada exclusives I've seen over there always have these like Canada stickers on them. It's only for the exclusives, which is interesting. I've never seen that on other ones, but there we have that adapter, which I think I read right. Yeah, 5.9 volts. All right, next up we got this interesting piece right here. It's got just like whole body piece, which looks crazy. Of course, there's an interesting looking motor in there. Of course, there's a bunch of stuff that moves on this. Overall, lots of movement on this guy, which is awesome. They had just this big black piece to help shape them out. Look at this. We actually get a little triangle button with this, which is interesting. I got one of these with some of the animatronics I got us here from Home Depot that were the Pan Asian Creations ones, but I thought that was the only company that did, but I guess Gemmy too, they give. Here we have the instructions, which pretty tiny instructions, which is interesting, but last piece right here is of course the base, which has little connectors on there to of course point the shoes in the right direction, which is nice. But anyways, that's all the pieces, so let's of course get it set up. And of course, get into the setup of this now. Of course, I'll do my best to show you exactly how this goes. Of course, got the instructions right here, and looks like it should be a pretty simple setup for this guy, which is nice. Of course, we start off right here with the base, which we got. Next up here is, of course, going to be with these. We got 2 leg pulls labeled B. Of course, these just snap lock in, and then one goes onto each side. Their next step is going to be with these shoes right here. Of course, you just slide those over. There's a whole base for them. And those, of course, also slide onto these little connectors right there. So you see, so those little things taken out, that goes over there. So these put onto there and stay in place. And then, of course, next up here, we got these little leg pieces right here. Of course, one's labeled D and then one is labeled E. Looks like the D one here goes over the right side. There's also a little printed thing on there, tell you. That goes over, and then looks like there's a little spot to push that over there. And same thing on this side. The next step here is, of course, with this big piece right here, which it is labeled. Which side is the front? And these two, you'll have to make sure they're on here correctly, so that side goes up that way, and then this side goes up this way. This piece right here simply goes over top of the plastic connectors right there. Slide in together. Alright, and there we go. It's already starting to look really good. Yeah, I love how these molded pieces look on it. That is really cool. Alright, but then next up we have this piece right here, of course, the control box with all the wires. And this is simply just going to connect onto the top of the leg pulls here. And the next step, of course, uses those hip loop pieces we have. Of course, we got the 2 on right there, and then there's a couple of different connectors, like there's the 2 that go across here. It's like the one labeled H, which is the bigger one, of course, goes onto the bottom right here. This other piece right here, which is labeled I, of course, it goes onto the top right here. All right, but then next up, we got this piece right here. So, of course, the massive torso, which in here also has the mechanism. There's a couple wires to connect. There's a white one in here, and he's a little bit wobbly now. Hopefully, when the costume goes on and more stuff, it might not be as wobbly, but at least doesn't wobble too much, just a bit. All right, but the next step is, of course, going to be with the costume right here. So looks like it does have a Velcro piece on the back, which comes off slightly. This right here, of course, can go over top. And there we go. That's looking really good. I love the costume on this. Seems to be really good quality. Wait, I'll point you up a bit. Sorry I don't have a wider angle for this, but next step is simply going to be with the hands. Of course, don't mess up what side these go on. Of course, right hand goes on the right side, left hand goes on left side. Looks like it's a little bit tricky, but just have to get this going through the shirt right here. That's a little fork hook connector that connects onto the fork hook connector connected to the body in here. There we go. I found where it was. I'll move this over there. Of course, there's also a Velcro piece on here that you need to connect over there. And then this, of course, going to go into this arm. All right, there we go. You can see just how he's looking right now. It's kind of like he's grabbing towards you on a little bit of a weird position for the arms, but it would be cool if you put something like in his arms too, which probably can't hold something too heavy on there, but you could easily have it hold something. You just have to zip tie it on there. But anyways, after that, our next step is going to be with the magnificent head right here, which, man, I really love how it looks. You can see, like, his shoulders are a bit low, but once it has this little piece up here, you can see, like, I'm 6 foot, and it's pretty much the exact same height as me, so It definitely adds a lot of height to that. In the back right here, which gotta figure out where that connects. Fix the Velcro here on the back where it opens up. That, there we go. This of course can be untucked and put around his head right there, so covers up that and everything. Pretty much the last step, we of course have his hat right here, which it does look like it has two Velcro pieces on it here. Oh, it looks like it's attached in the front right there. And then there also isn't one in the back that I see unless it fell off, but of course we can put that on there. Yeah, just hang to the side right there. And there, he's pretty much all complete. Last step is, of course, if you want to use him on the Try Me, you can. I think I might hook him up with Try Me because he's just going to be one side of my house, so might work well just have him on Try Me, so put him on whenever. Of course, also the adapter you have to connect, but anyways, this is how it looks, so let's plug him in and see what he does. Alright, and here he is. I'm just going to have him on mute for the demo because I think the song's copyrighted he plays, I'm not sure, but there you can see him moving, which he's got a few things going on. Of course, the arms move there, in and out, which is cool, and then the head moves there, and of course that mouth also moves. So overall, the movement on this guy is really awesome. I love how that is, and man, I love just the sculpt and everything on this guy. I think I'm gonna have to say it, but he is the best Grinch that we have gotten so far. I think he's definitely an improvement over the dancing ones. I do like the animation on the dancing ones, how he's dancing, but the detail on this one, I definitely love it a lot more. Like the head sculpt on there looks sick. I love that. Of course, his hands right there look really cool, and then sculpt on there and everything looks great. And yeah, overall, I think the only downside I would say is I did wish that he had some other audio than just "Seeing You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch," which is some nice audio. It's a good song and everything, but like, he never actually sings that in the cartoon. It's just a song in the background, so a little weird to have him sing it, but still, I do love all the animation, and song is not the worst. I just wish that he had some more lines, but yeah, for what he is, honestly, this is definitely something I would recommend. And yeah, so overall, final thoughts, of course, animation. He's got pretty much 4 animations. It is just one motor that controls the head and arms, so it's not fully 4 animations, but it does have that. Of course, yeah, the paint job on looks good, the sculpt and everything looks great, the audio is decent, so overall, the Grinch right here, an awesome animatronic. I am a huge fan, definitely one I'd recommend. So there, of course, we have it, everyone. Right there is the Grinch animatronic from Home Depot for 2025, of course, a Canada exclusive one, which is interesting, and which, yeah, it's just so weird. Like, this is the second animatronic we're getting this year for Canada that was canceled in the US because, of course, we got that Neon Clown guy, which also became a Canada exclusive, so honestly really cool that we still got this guy in Canada, because if it was canceled altogether, it would have been kind of sad, because I do really love how this guy is, so awesome that we were able to get him. But overall, definitely tell me down below your thoughts on this guy, and if he is one that you would consider again. Definitely one I'd recommend. Like, my opinion is definitely the best out of the other Grinches. Like, some of the Grinch animatronic versions they have made are pretty cool, but this one definitely has a lot of things I love more about it. But anyways, with all that said, that's it for today. Hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, please make sure to like and subscribe, and of course comment down below. Anyways, I will see you all next time. Goodbye.